Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. From Sridham Mayapur, we're having our daily class from Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we want to talk about the path of piteous weeping, which we could also describe as the path of passive conquest. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, text number 30. This is Devahuti speaking to her illustrious son, Lord Kapila Dev. Tade tanme vijanihi yataham mandadir hare sukam budyeya durbodham yosha bhavad anugrahat. She said, my dear son Kapila, after all, I'm a woman. It's very difficult for me to understand the absolute truth because my intelligence is not very great. But if you will kindly explain it to me, even though I'm not very intelligent, I can understand it and thereby feel transcendental happiness. Srila Prabhupada has written in his purport, knowledge of the absolute truth is not very easily understood by ordinary, less intelligent men. But if the spiritual master is kind enough to the disciple, however unintelligent the disciple may be, then by the divine grace of the spiritual master, everything is revealed. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur therefore says, Yashya prasadad. By the mercy of the spiritual master, the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavat Prasada is revealed. Devahuti requested her son, her great son, to be merciful toward her because she was a less intelligent woman and also his mother. By the grace of Kapila Dev, it was quite possible for her to understand the absolute truth, even though the subject matter is very difficult for ordinary persons, especially women. Gora Graganya Gana Gocha Goloruharam Goranga Gura Tama Gopyada Kopa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshikavaram Satatam Namami Panchakopatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So many things in this purport are being discussed. Srila Prabhupada gave a lecture once on this verse, and I'd like to read you a few words from that lecture. It's very powerful. Prabhupada said, knowledge of the absolute truth is not very easily understood by ordinary, less intelligent men. But if the spiritual master is kind enough to the disciple, however unintelligent he may be, then by the grace of the spiritual master, everything is revealed. Therefore, Vaishnavas offer the prayer, Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langayate girim yakripatamaham vande Shri Gurum dinataranam. That someone may be a murka, they may be a fool, they may not be able to speak, but by the mercy of the Guru, that personality will become a great speaker. They may be lame and they can't walk, but by the mercy of Guru, they'll be able to climb great mountains. Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain in his lecture that he gave on this verse. He says, in this verse, Devahuti shows us the process for understanding transcendental subject matters. It is not by challenge, but by submission. The entire bhakti process is a process of submission. The most amazing thing about this submission is that it's a path of passive conquest. Everybody wants to conquer the world. Everybody wants to be the king of the world. But the path of bhakti is the most powerful path. But this path is a path of submission. And by that submission, it's a path of passive conquest, where we conquer others through our humility. I remember when I was, maybe 10 years old, my mother remarried. And my stepfather was one of the wisest people I've ever met. And a person with such deep heart, integrity, and he helped me to become a devotee practically more than anyone in my life. But he was also a former staff sergeant in the Air Force, and he was a very angry person. And he was also a 6'4", very big man, very big body. And he would become angry and start shouting at you. And I'd never experienced anything like that before. I was a little bit of a gentle person. And when someone would start yelling at me, I didn't know what to do. But I learned a very amazing lesson with him. After some time, I learned this path of passive conquest. That if I would be humble and just bow my head, even though maybe he was chastising me and he was wrong, I didn't do it. It was my brother Andy who did it, or brother Tom, two younger brothers. Maybe they did it and I didn't do whatever I was being chastised for. But if I would just present myself humbly and not argue back, it was a very amazing thing. I would be able to control him, even though he was so much bigger than me and so much more powerful than me, by just submitting myself to him. And I learned, therefore, the path of passive conquest. Prabhupada writes again, or he speaks in his lecture. He says, if one is interested in advancing and chanting Hare Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advises that one be humbler than the grass and more tolerant than the trees. One should not be very proud of his intelligence, but should give all respect to others. In this way, one can chant Hare Krishna offenselessly. Although Devahuti was the mother of Kapila Dev, she presented herself as a humble woman. It was not that she considered herself superior because she was his mother. So indirectly in that statement, Srila Prabhupada's asserting that Devahuti had every right to consider herself superior because she was a mother. Prabhupada went on to say, we have to please the spiritual master by service. And the entire bhakti process depends on the attitude of service. So Prabhupada goes on to state a little later in this lecture, just looking for what I wanted. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that knowledge of Krishna is received through the parampara, the disciplic succession. Evam parampara praptam, Bhagavad Gita 4.2. The Guru offers the same respects to his Guru, and his Guru offers respects to his. And so it goes all the way to Krishna. Thus the mercy of Krishna comes down through the parampara system, and the respect offered to Krishna is offered up through the parampara system. One has to learn to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this way. Thus, if we want to approach God, we have to take shelter of the Guru in the beginning. Devahuti is begging the mercy of Kapila Dev in order to understand the way to approach Krishna. She approaches him very humbly, saying, "My dear Kapila, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but I am a woman, and my intelligence is not very sharp. Nonetheless, I want to understand these sublime transcendental subjects from you. It is possible by your mercy." So this principle of humble submission is a principle of bhakti, and this was taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshastakam, Trinadapi Sunichena, Todoreva Sahisnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kitaniya Sudahari. But it wasn't just theoretical in the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'll move this so I can try to play some harmonium. But this was also something which Mahaprabhu practically exhibited in his life. Thank you. That's good. When Mahaprabhu was in Kashi, and the sannyasis there asked him, "What are you doing? You're a great Brahmin, you're very, very learned, but you're going around and you're dancing and singing." They couldn't understand this. Huh? Some of our friends from China were telling me also that the Buddhists sometimes, they have a hard time, some of them, to understand the devotees, how they're doing like this. Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At that time, he told Prakashananda Saraswati that my Guru Maharaj, he told me the following words. Murkutumi toma nahi ka vedanta harikar, Krishna mantra japa sada e mantra sa. He said, Murkatumi, you're a fool. Tomara nahika vedanta adhikar. You have no adhikar, no qualification to study Vedanta. You don't understand big philosophy. Krishna mantra japa sada e mantra sar. You should just chant Hare Krishna. That's all that you can do. Srila Prabhupada gives a long purport to this verse, and in that purport he says, only fools give up the service of the spiritual master and think themselves advanced in spiritual knowledge. In order to check such fools, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself presented the perfect example of how to be a disciple. A spiritual master knows very well how to engage each disciple in a particular duty. But if a disciple, thinking himself more advanced than his guru, gives up his orders and acts independently, he checks his own spiritual progress. Every disciple must consider himself completely unaware of the science of Krishna and must be always ready to carry out the orders of the spiritual master to become competent in Krishna consciousness. A disciple should always remain a fool before his spiritual master. Therefore, sometimes pseudo-spiritualists accept a spiritual master who is not even fit to become a disciple because they want to keep him under their control. This is useless for spiritual realization. We have to understand the path, the proper pathway to approach the absolute truth. And this is the path of piteous weeping. This is the path which is described in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita as Bishad Yoga, or the yoga of lamentation. How, someone may ask, how can lamentation be yoga? Yoga means to link with God. How can I link with God through lamentation? We sometimes, especially in modern world today, people don't want to be humble. Humility is considered to be something very, very low class. But actually, we can't begin to make advancement unless we have humility, because that pride blocks the ability to receive mercy. And therefore, Arjuna is teaching us Vishad Yoga. And Vishad has several meanings. Vishad means lamentation, but as we often speak, we give seminars on these two words, Vishad Yoga. Vishad is also a compound word in Sanskrit, two words together, Bisha and Ada. Bish means poison, and Ad means to accept. So Vishad Yoga means the yoga of lamentation, or it can mean the yoga of accepting poison, the poison of our own piteous condition. So the Bhagavad Gita is based upon this piteous crying, which is described by my Guru Maharaj as Atma Krandana, or the crying of the soul. Sometimes we think in Krishna consciousness that crying is just a very, very advanced thing. It is a very advanced thing, but crying is also the beginning of our spiritual life. When we cry to God, when we want to know who I am, when we accept our own humble position, as Devahuti is doing and not trying to impress her son or lord it over him. And it's this humility which Sanjaya describes in the second chapter of the Gita, where he says that Vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudana. He says this is the Bhagavad Gita. This Vishidantam, this Vishad, this lamentation of Arjuna. When Krishna heard this Vishad, Krishna's heart melted. And Vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudana. When he heard those humble words of Arjuna, Krishna's heart melted and he spoke the Bhagavad Gita. So this is the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. As my Guru Maharaj would say, your only qualification is your disqualification. Our only qualification is to be humble. In the Nectar of Devotion, in the third chapter, Srila Prabhupada has written, he says, anyone who has any desire or aspiration for satisfying his senses by becoming more and more important, either in the material sense or in the spiritual sense, cannot actually relish the really sweet taste of devotional service. They can't enter into bhakti. So we have to understand this principle, as Srila Prabhupada is speaking in the purport, that we have to approach Krishna through Guru. But we approach Guru not trying to impress him. And this is a very difficult thing for us to understand with our Western mentality. In Western mentality, our qualification is how big a person we are, and how much we can paint ourselves as a beautiful person, and how many clicks we get, how many likes we get in Facebook. And if I get 100 likes, then I'm a good person. But Sanatana Goswami, when he approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and historically we should know something about Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami was the prime minister of the Nawab Hussain Shah. He was like the most powerful person in the country. He was learned in something like 6 different languages. He was born and raised in a very aristocratic family. He was extremely wealthy. He was respected by everyone. But when he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and requested him to be accepted by the Lord, what did he say? Keyami kena amaya jade tapatrai ihanahi jani kimone hitahoy. The first thing he said, Keyami, who am I? I don't know who I am. I reject. Everybody else is saying, oh, he's a big man. No, I'm not a big man. Maybe 1,000 people say I'm a big man, but I'm not a big man. I don't even know who I am. And I don't know. Kani amaya jade tapatrai. Why am I suffering so much? Please tell me this. He's approaching Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a mood of absolute humility. And he tells Mahaprabhu, Sadhya sadhana tattva puchete na jani kripa kori sabha tattva Kripakori sabatattva kahata apani. He said, actually, I don't even know how to inquire about all this and the process to get it, but you please be merciful to me. When Sanatana Goswami came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami, they approached Mahaprabhu and they didn't try to impress him. They didn't say, you know, you'd be really lucky if you accept us as a disciple. You know, I have a bachelor's degree in landscape architecture, and I was the top of my class, and I'm so brilliant. People just faint when they hear my name. And I'm also very, very beautiful and handsome, and I'm also very humble. He didn't approach Mahaprabhu speaking in that way. Rather, they approached the Lord and they said as follows. Nicha jati, nicha sangi, kori, nicha kaj. Tomara grete prabhu kahite vasila. Patita pavana hetu tomara avatar. Amabai jagate patita nahi ar. He said, my dear Lord, Nicha jati, we're the most fallen, we come from the most fallen persons. Our family, our jati is the most fallen. Nicha sangi, our association, all of our friends and associates, they're the most fallen. Kori nicha kaj, our work is the most abominable work. And coming before you, how do we feel? Basilaj. We feel very, very ashamed. Just standing before you. But we have one hope. Patita pavana hetu tomaravata amabai jagate patita nahi ar. That you've come to deliver the most fallen persons. So this is our qualification. Gauranga karuna koro Osamopatita prabhu nahi tribhuvane. They prayed to Mahaprabhu, Gauranga karuna koro. My dear Lord, you're the most merciful. Ami dina hina jani. This is what I am. I'm useless. I don't know anything. Mosamo patita prabhu nahi tribhuvani. If you do a survey and you analyze all the people in all the three worlds, you'll find I'm the most useless person that there is. That's who I am. But therefore, he says, you should be merciful to me. And then Narottam Das Thakur sings a song. He sings to the Lord. Jadiyama pratisneha take sadhukaya. Jadiyama pratisneha take sadhukaya. Tabe Krishna vyati vikta nadayi veya. He says that maybe you don't want to give mercy to me because you see, he's such a fallen nonsense person. He's so bogus. He's done terrible things. Then Narottam says, okay, what can I say? I'm just a beggar. I can't force you to give mercy to me. But if you don't give mercy to me, then we have to change your name. And you're not really Petit Pavan. Rather, maybe we'll call you Shrestha Pavan, the deliverer of the elevated persons. Because you're not giving mercy to myself. So unless you give mercy to me, you're not really Petit Pavan. This is the mercy, this is a prayer of the devotees. This is a path of piteous weeping. And it's ironic in this path, in other paths in the material world, to become superior to other persons, we defeat them. and we establish our own superiority. But this path of piteous weeping is a path of passive conquest, where we conquer the other person by the heart. And this is the beginning of our spiritual life, when we can actually face ourselves in the mirror and say, I'm a bad person. There are many, many bad people in this world. There are many people who abuse women. There are many people who abuse children. And it's a common thing for such persons to want to drown their sorrows in alcohol or drugs, or it's through some mental gymnastics, and they just deny that aspect of themselves. They can't look at themselves because they hate themselves. But in this path known as Bishad Yoga, the yoga of lamentation, it means that we have to accept our fallen position. There's a beautiful stotra, a series of prayers by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, which he wrote glorifying Srimati Radharani, but it wasn't written for the pleasure of Radharani. He titled these prayers the Vishak Anandada Stotra, or the prayers that Dada give Ananda to Vishaka, the associate of Srimati Radharani. And in texts 127 to 130, he speaks a very piteous cry. Itchetannamali lakta pajai piyusha varshakai tadrasasvada nishnata vasana vasatantarai giyamanam janardanyai sneha viklina manasai natvatam kripaya vishtam dustopi nishturasata. He says that there's many different people, Itchetan Namali Lakta Pajai Piyusha Varshakai, who are drinking the names and the pastimes of Srimati Radharani, Tadrasasvada Nishnata Vasana Vasatantarai. They're asvada, they're tasting that. Nishnata, they're expert in tasting that. And he says that Giyamanam Janaya Danyai Sneha Viklina Manasai, that such persons, their hearts are melting with love for Srimati Radharani. Natvatam Kipaya Vishtam. He says, I'm bowing down before those persons. Natvatam Kipaya Vishtam. Because dusto pi nustara sata. Because I'm a dusta. Because I'm wicked. Because I'm a nishtara, I'm very coarse and hard in my behavior. And moreover, satta, I'm a criminal. He says, this is what I am. Therefore, janoyam yachate duki rudan uchari dhammahu tatpadambo jayugmaika gati kattara tamgata kritva nija ganashyanta karunya nija sevane nija yuta mam sakshat sayam brinda baneshwari. I'm such a criminal person. Sato jana. He said, therefore, I'm coming and I'm crying, piteously. I'm weeping. I'm dukhi. I'm very, very unhappy. Dukhi rudan. Rudan means crying. Rudan uchai. Uchai means very loudly. I'm crying very, very loudly. Idam mahu, again and again and again. I'm falling at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, Padamboja. That these feet, ekagati, kataram, these are the only object of my life, and kataram gata. I have so much kata, so much distress. Kritvanija ganashyanta. Karunya nija sevani. Nija gatu mam sakshat sayam brindavaneshwari. That my dear Srimati Radharani, please, out of your mercy, forgive me of all that. Overlook all my faults. And please still somehow engage me as one of your direct associates and engage me in your direct service. This is the prayer. And therefore, another prayer to Srimati Radharani, who's the Queen of Vrindavan, who Krishna himself falls at the feet of, who's the greatest personality, the highest, most difficult personality to approach. The prayer goes, Pasanjaham aho nityam paraparada dharmaka kshamashramam hare radha dehime sadhu dharmakam. That I'm a pasandi. A pasandi means an atheist or a heretic, a hypocrite, someone who's blasphemous, someone who's impious, someone who's an imposter, a fake person. Pasanjaham, that's who I am. How often? Aho nityam, I'm always like that. And not only that, but what is my nature? Paraparada dharmaka. My nature is to offend everybody else. Kshamashramam hare radha. And therefore I'm praying, Radha, please forgive me. I am admitting my faults. I'm coming before you. And by admitting these faults before Srimati Radharani, then her heart melts. Dehi me sadhu dharmakam. Please make me into a genuine sadhu. This is the path of mercy. And Srila Jiva Goswami, he says that Parameshwar kripas tu sa evatra mama saranam ityadi dainyatmika bhakti sambanayava jayate. He says in Bhakti Sandarbha that the mercy of the Lord only manifests when, in two cases, when two qualities are there. When there's dainya, intense humility, in connection with bhakti. There are many people who are humble in this world, but they're not getting the mercy of the Lord. Even there are some people who are practicing bhakti, but they're not practicing in a humble way. And they also don't get the mercy. Bhaktir, hi bhakta koti pravishta tad, ardrir, bhavatri, tachakti vishesha iti vivritam, vivashit yate cha. He says that this bhakti, this is a special vishesh, a special potency of the Lord, which when it enters the hearts of the devotees, it acquires the quality of melting the Lord's heart. So this bhakti, indirectly Jiva Goswami is indicating here that we have to learn to melt the hearts of the devotees. And when we manifest humility, as Devahuti is doing before her illustrious son Kapila Dev, then we can get the mercy of the Lord. But we have to be willing to accept chastisement from Guru. We have to approach Guru in a very, very humble way. And then Krishna becomes very, very pleased. There's a Puranic story that once a Guru told his disciple that you go out and you collect some firewood. Yes, Gurudev. And the disciple went out very sincerely looking for firewood so that his Guru Maharaj could perform some fire sacrifice, some Agnihotra. And that disciple looked for the whole day. And he couldn't find any firewood. He searched everywhere for many miles. And finally, with me, it's 66%. There's something wrong with my computer. I don't know what's happened here. Hare Krishna. I don't know what just happened. My computer just died. I'm having some computer problems. I'm sorry. We were telling a story. I'm going to go ahead and tell the story again, and we're going ahead and finish what we're saying. My battery says we've got 66% of power, but it just turned off all of a sudden. So, Hare Krishna Vaisheshika Prabhu, my humble pranams. So, one disciple was told by his guru that you go collect firewood. The disciple searched all day, couldn't find any. Came back to his guru and said, Guru Maharaj, I'm sorry, I looked all day long, I couldn't find any firewood, so you can do your sacrifice. His guru became angry and chastised him and told him, go to hell and look. Yes, Gurudev. And so then the disciple, he went to hell. And in hell, he was wandering around looking at, and the Yamaduta saw him, and they went to Yamaraj and said, "Hey boss, there's some guy who looks like he really doesn't belong here. Maybe you should talk to him." And Yamaraj went to him and said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Oh, my Gurudev told me to come and get some firewood here. Do you have any firewood I can get?" And Yamaraj said, "There's a lot of firewood here. There's a lot of fire here. But the fire is brought by people who come here." He said, "I don't think you belong here. You should come with me." And then Yamaraj took him back to his guru and presented him to his guru and said, "This person is a Sat Sishya. You should give your mercy to this person." There's a similar story told sometimes that on one occasion, Dronacharya, he called for Duryodhana. And he said, "Duryodhana, I've taught you all the art of warfare, and now it's come time, I want you to repay. I want some Guru Dakshina. You should give something to me." "Yes, Gurudev, what do you want?" And he said to Duryodhana, "I want you to go and find just one person who's better than you. That's all. Just find one person who's better than you." "Yes, Gurudev," right away. And so Duryodhana set out. And then Dronacharya called for Yudhishthira. And he said the same thing. "Yudhishthira, I've taught you so much, the art of warfare. Now I want some Guru Dakshina. You go out, and all I want from you is you find one person who's lower than you." Just the opposite of Duryodhana's instruction. "Yes, Gurudev." And they were both gone for a very long time. Finally, Yudhishthira returned, and Duryodhana returned. Duryodhana came in first, and Duryodhana was very annoyed. And he said, "Guru Maharaj, you gave me a very hard job. I went all over the world. I searched everywhere. I couldn't find anybody who's better than me." And then Yudhishthira came in. Yudhishthira was looking very depressed. And Yudhishthira, he said, "Guru Maharaj, I'm very sorry, but I failed. I went all over the world. I searched everywhere, but I couldn't find anyone who was lower than me." And then Dronacharya embraced Yudhishthira. And he turned to Duryodhana, and he said, "Duryodhana, your search is over. Here's someone better than you, Yudhishthira." And he turned to Yudhishthira, and he said, "Yudhishthira, your search is also over. Here's someone more fallen than you, Duryodhana." And in this way, Yudhishthira won the heart of Duryodhana. So we should learn the art of melting the heart of an advanced Vaishnava. We should learn the art of the path of passive conquest, which is a path of piteous weeping, which is a path of Bishad Yoga, the yoga of lamentation, by which we'll conquer the heart of an advanced Vaishnava. So I'm going to stop there. We went a little late, I'm sorry. So many devotees have made some comments. Madhupati Prabhu has written, "Hare Krishna, before a festival, it was advertised that we can apply for service. I applied for translating and for visiting, lecturing spiritual masters. I was not given any service. And I asked Samadaji why I wasn't given any service. She said, I was too proud. I felt deeply disturbed because I felt I was the most humble of all. And then in a flash, I realized she was right. I was proud and felt very embarrassed. We cannot get rid of this poison pride without the mercy of the devotees. Let me put her name, to whom I'm indebted forever, Shri Sarovara Devi Dasi." And this is Madhupati Prabhu's revenge by embarrassing Mother Sarovara. What a beautiful comment. Thank you, Prabhu. Alex wrote, "How to realize that petite position because we came from the background where to be a criminal is a great honor which sustains our pride eternally." Well, we have to put ourselves in a situation where we accept chastisement, voluntary chastisement from a superior person. To make advancement, we need to find someone that we really, truly have faith in. It doesn't mean that we should, like one song in America, the greatest of the sadists and the masochists too, screaming, "Please hit me and I'll hit you." It's not that we should be a sadist or a masochist and want people to abuse us. We don't condone abuse. But in spiritual life, we want to find a superior person that we have faith in. And that person we want to submit ourselves before. I have a question, maybe some devotees can help me who are online. The computer rebooted, but Lynn has said still here. I guess she's still here, but I just want to know, did we go offline? We must have gone offline. Vanish Prabhu has pasted in the prayers of Gauranga Kruna Koro. Thank you very much. Very beautiful prayer. Thank you, Vaisheshika Prabhu. You're still watching this. You're such a great inspiration for all of us. And Vaisheshika Prabhu is such a wonderful person because he doesn't just speak wonderfully, which he does, and he quotes so much Shastra in such a way to inspire people, but he walks his talk. And that's what gives people great inspiration. He's a living example. And he's one of my great Guru Janas from the early days of my life. Gauranga Madhuri has written, this is Mani Gopal Prabhu. Dandavat Pranams, Hare Krishna. Nice to see you, Prabhu. Chitananda Prabhu is here from Hungary. I hope you can understand I know how to speak in Hungarian also, but it would be a very short class. We only know how to say Igen, Nem, Krishnam, Sepan. Yes, no, and very good. But thank you very much. Subal Sham Prabhu, Hare Krishna, thank you. Natalia, are you there? Ashran, Hare Krishna. And there's a comment here from Lynn. Submission is so difficult for the Western mind. It seems synonymous with defeat or dishonor. I think we believe that to submit makes us a lesser being and unworthy. And it's nice you made this point about the Western mind. This is really the Western mind. But in the Eastern mind, that's considered to be the most advanced. But we have to be very, very careful also that we don't just submit ourselves sentimentally or quickly to the wrong person. We should look for the right person that we can actually, a person we have actually faith in, that we can submit ourselves to. So I want to stop there from reading the comments. Now I'd like to turn over the microphone to the devotees here in the room with us, beginning with Her Grace Anapayani Radha. If she has any reflections or comments. Do you have anything? Okay.
The name of the topic itself is really inspiring. Thank you so much. I just mark for myself that every disciple should consider himself completely unaware of spiritual knowledge in front of spiritual master. And it sounds really obvious because all the process of accepting Guru, it means that I don't know, he knows, I don't have anything, he have whatever I want to get. And as you said, the pride is blocking ability to, blocking ability to receive mercy. And I just see in myself as how deep is it. And every time if I don't feel that I have mercy or something, inspiration, I just need to see again. So am I in the proper position towards my Guru Maharaj or not? Thank you so much to make me think about this.
Anapayani Radha is a teacher, amongst other things, and she's a good teacher, I think. She teaches small children, mostly Russian children, I think, Russian-speaking children, English. And as a teacher, you must have experienced, if you have a student who's, I already know English, what can you teach me? If someone has an attitude like that, then you probably won't be able to teach them. But you were telling me about one girl who she beats herself so much if she just mispronounces one word, and then she wants to do the whole lesson over again, and she's so and that melts your heart. And then naturally you want to extend yourself to them. So this principle is also there even in secular education, that it's not possible to learn anything, as you were saying. This is a basic principle of approaching Guru. It's not possible to learn anything unless we submit ourselves. Krishna Kun, do you have something you want to share? Krishna Kun always has some wise comments. Now I'm going to embarrass her by saying that. She doesn't want to say anything.
Zero pressure, wise comments. I just have a simple thing that I wanted to repeat about acting in such a way that we melt the heart of an immense Vaishnava, which is famously Burijan Prabhu's comment, which really, it made such an impression on me years ago when I heard this, that I feel that this is my life, this is my only hope. And I was thinking about how do we do that? How do we melt the heart of such a Vaishnava? And Prabhupada very simply gives this, that the entire bhakti process depends on the attitude of service. And I feel that this is all. It's very simple, very, very simple. We just complicate it a lot. I also marked one sentence from the Nectar of Devotion that you were reading at, that the aspiration to become more and more important, either in the material or in the spiritual sense. If someone has that, then they actually cannot taste devotional service.
There's a beautiful article. There's a beautiful article written by one of my great heroes and Guru Janas, that's Mother Vishaka, Prabhupada's disciple, one of the wisest people I know. She wrote for Back to Godhead magazine, and she titled it, The Ecstasy of Insignificance. It's a very beautiful topic. Do you want to make another comment? Okay.
It's a question. If somebody really feels, like Raghunath Das Goswami explains in this verse, Nishtura, coarse, a criminal, shata, dushta, wicked. When one really feels this way, it's obvious from his prayer that it is still possible to approach Srimati Radharani, but how can we? What is our hope?
Well, that is our hope, that we approach in such a fallen, humble way. In the material world, as Lynn was pointing out, that it's very difficult for us to be submissive. And if somebody is submissive, we tell them, oh, you have a problem, you're becoming depressed, you have low self-esteem. You shouldn't have low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is one thing. It's another thing when someone wants to block out their position by taking drugs or alcohol, as we were pointing out. But the humility of the devotee is not like that. It's not just beating themselves up. The humility of the devotee is based on hope. When they see that the Lord is so merciful to people who consider themselves to be fallen. Krishna Kun, you want to make another comment?
Actually, I would just like to repeat Damodar Maharaj's definition of this, the difference between low self-esteem and actual humility, because I think it's, I don't know what you were thinking. I'm thinking about this one when he says that low self-esteem is when you feel that you are very incapable and you don't have any good qualities and you feel terrible about yourself. Whereas humility is when you know that you are very, very incapable and you are happy being small. Happy small is humility. Because then your only hope is mercy. So then there is a hope that Krishna can lift you up, Patita Pavana.
And then we can experience the ecstasy of insignificance. So we'll stop there, and see, tomorrow morning we'll also be here, and then Monday as well, and Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday we're not here. Thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpa Darubhishcha, Kripa